without that rental income for about 8 months or so. Was there any government assistance program for landlords that helped you out during this time?
No, that is one thing that I wish there had been a way for the landlord to apply for
A raft program?
a raft program and not the
to get
tenant.
you through those times?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, most tenants want to apply and are applying and are very cooperative and want to work with you, but occasionally you get the one that doesn't want to, and then you don't have a recourse yourself. So, I mean, the best thing you can do is one is you write it off as a loss on your taxes, right? So it kind of goes into that accounting, and then there's ways of hiring lawyers to go after the tenants after you get a judgment in your case to collect for it. It's usually expensive and might not be worth it. It's difficult to do, but that's definitely a recourse that you might have.
Now, on to more fun stuff.
Mhm.
What is the craziest or the most unexpected thing that has happened to one of your properties?
Well, the first year I owned my first property, it got shot at.
It was a
And
drive-by shooting.
it was a
right?
drive-by shooting.
Fortunately, nobody got hurt.
Thank God nobody got hurt, but
There were tenants in there at the time, though.
yes, this is not something you expect, obviously. I mean, you're prepared for not finding tenants, for
The roof
toilets.
leaking.
Yeah, roof leaking, toilets exploding.
Not drive-by shootings,
Yeah,
though, usually.
that is not. And it's also one of those things that obviously it happened. It's not a likely thing to happen. Even Haverhill at that time was still not the safest place. That security has improved, but obviously there is always crime, and people do random things. So yeah, that can happen. But yeah, that was like a wake up call when you're there and tenant calls you like, "Oh, Kasia, your house just got shot at." And I was like, oh, wow. What do you even do? Yes. I mean, this is, police obviously handles that matter. But yeah, that was definitely the unexpected will happen.
Yeah. What, anything else you can think of? Because I thought there was another thing that happened.
When you start screening tenants, you learn a lot of interesting things, because I do accept pets in my properties, which I think something that makes it appealing, and in general, I'm a big pet lover, so I think that I definitely want to enable my tenants to have pets. But one time I had somebody apply and it's like, oh, like, do you accept pets? I'm like, yes. What kind of pets do you have? It's like, I think he had 30 snakes, some kind of boa constrictors, tarantulas, some other very exotic pets. And I think at that time I just had to say no to that because they might escape.
I wouldn't blame you.
Yes.
That's a little different from cats and dogs.
Yes. You want to have a kitty or a doggy, but
not pet snakes.
Not pet snakes.
Well, because if one, for practical reasons, right? If one gets loose,
yes,
it can crawl into another unit, and then you're probably liable.
Even if you're not liable for it, the tenants will call you and it's like, gosh, there's a snake in my shower.
Yeah, it's not something you want. Do you foresee yourself investing in more rental properties in the future, or would you consider a different real estate investment?
Probably for now, I'm gonna keep with these, but if I have more money, one is I would probably maybe eventually buy a place for me to live in.
Yeah, because you don't own your own house right now, right? Is there a reason for that?
Partly because the places that I want to live, the math just doesn't work out. So
too expensive.
It's too expensive, so my mortgage payment would be way higher than my rent payment. So it makes more sense for me to rent. Also gives me the flexibility, so if I want to travel or move away, try living somewhere else, I'm not tied down to a specific location. So that's a decision, for now for my life. But eventually I may want to settle down somewhere and then own my own home. So that's definitely still on the cards.
Especially once your investment properties start actually yielding profits, right?
Yes. So maybe I can use that money to
buy your own home.
My own home.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, another way of doing this is living in one of the units so that your rent is covered by the income that's coming in from the other units, and that's a really good way of doing that. But that's not something you did, right?
Yeah, so I bought the first property I bought was my house. So it was a single family house, and I lived there in Revere for 15 years. And that's when I sold it. That's when I was able to, because of appreciation, use that money to invest in the properties I have right now in Haverhill. But if I were to rewind my life and actually do things the smart way and not the way that I did them, which were not always the smart way, is that would be a great way to start. You live in one unit, the tenants live in another unit, and they basically cover your mortgage. And then the flip side of it, and this is why I'm a little reluctant to do it now that I'm older, is that you do live with your tenants, and so if they have an issue, it's very easy for them.
Tenants, yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully not with your tenants.
Well, in the same house, right?
Yeah,
so if they have a problem, they
gets
know.
Very tempting to knock on that door.
Yeah, they know what door to knock on, and you might not want to have that. So it's a luxury, but I think for young people, for people starting out, it's perfect. I actually had a really lovely couple when they moved out was because they bought a 2-family and they went into actually being investors themselves. So it was a way, they saved money while they were renting one of my units.
Were you their inspiration for doing
I hope
that?
So.
That would be nice, right?
I think they also, I think the family members.
They followed in your footsteps.
Yeah. But they had family members who were also very handy and really recommended that to them as well.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you would want to tell people about owning investment properties? Any final advice or any lessons learned?
Obviously be prepared, and be prepared for the unexpected, shooting, exploding toilet, whatever it might be. Make sure you have a cushion. But the other one is not to overthink it, because sometimes when you start worrying and try to prepare for everything, you might just not do it. And I think that there's also a danger in that.
Yeah.
So I always say, had I known all I know now about owning properties when I just bought one, I would probably not have done it. Yes, but now I'm glad that I did it, right?
It's important to prepare, but not obsess over it so much that it makes it impossible for you to actually
other people do it, and most of them end up just fine, so you can as well.
And that's the only way to learn. If you just do it yourself, you could be watching a million of these videos and listening to people's advice, but until you actually do it yourself, you're not gonna learn as much as when you are actually doing it.
You definitely have more resources in you, and than you even know are possible, and you can deal with adversity as it arises without just kind of over analyzing and worrying too much ahead of time, because you'll worry about it later when it actually happens.
Yeah, there's no need worrying ahead of time. I'm very good at that, but yeah.
That's why I'm the older sister. I go first, and then you can look at well, Kasia did it, so it can't be that hard.
All right, well, thank you for talking with me today. You're off to Europe, but maybe at some point, we can do another video about some other part of real estate.
Thanks for having me on, and it's been
we'll
great.
talk to you next time.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.